Welcome back to Harry's Space. Today I've got with me my friend Lauren White.
Hi there.
Crazy because I was one of the first people you met in Hong Kong.
Literally my first friend.
And now I'm literally living in your hood.
In my hood. Yeah.
And I came back before you did. So we're chasing each other around the world. How long have you been back in London now?
I've been back in London for a month. Kind of over a month. Went to Marbella for a bit, which was nice, with my mum. Yeah, it's been strange because I was living in Hong Kong for 2 years. I got offered a job to work in a gym out there. Was never on the map for me. You know, I wanted to move to LA. I'm into fitness. I'm a personal trainer. Like my idea was kind of to go around the US, and then it came up that Hong Kong was an opportunities, and I was just like, okay, why not? And then I went there, and then I just never left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad.
And 2 years flew by. I remember when you had your sort of 1 year anniversary in Hong Kong. I was like, I can't believe it's been a year.
I know.
Hong Kong can do that.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, so you went to Marbella. Don't you think it's amazing after being in Hong Kong and you go to you did some trips, you did Bali, you did Thailand, stuff like that. It's actually it's huge. Yeah. These flights are quite substantial. But now you're in Europe, like Spain's like a few hours.
It's completely different as well. Like the spatial awareness that you have in Europe is just mad, and the fact that you can breathe, because Hong Kong has like such like high humidity and such pollution levels. But like I'm the type of person where like I just go from place to place, and I don't really like regret anything or say to myself, oh, I wish I was here. Like people are like, oh, do you miss Hong Kong? And I do miss Hong Kong, but I believe that I'm meant to be where I'm meant to be at this moment in time.
But what do you miss? Do you miss more the people?
Miss the people. 100%.
Yeah, so it's the people rather than. I mean, we were just talking about sizes of apartments.
Yeah, it's just so small.
I think one thing that people won't really wrap their minds around unless they've actually lived there is because everyone's like, London's expensive. Yeah. London is expensive, but you compare it to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And it's like.
I had a flat in North Finchley before I moved to Hong Kong, and it was massive. And I was paying the same rent that I was paying in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to sacrifice that to live in. They say if you live more out in Hong Kong, like Sai Kung area, you get a bit more. Sai Kung's like the countryside,
or one of the islands.
On the islands, it's much bigger. But then if you want to live in the centre of everything, because I want to live in the centre, I literally had like a 1 minute walk to where I worked, and I did some work with Manor, and I did some work with some other companies that were just all like literally around the corner, and I love that because I live in Hertfordshire, just outside London, and it's all houses, and it's a beautiful area. Such nice houses. Like I live in like the area where like football players live, and I live near L Street, we near Big Brother house, but there's nothing to do there.
Is Big Brother still on?
Yeah. It was just finished.
How many years is it?
Oh my god, it's like 10 years.
Because I thought like Love Island took over from Big Brother. I mean that's what happened.
I mean, it has taken over. I do believe that Love Island is probably the best, but you've still got Big Brother, you've still got X on the Beach, which is like less than that, and you've still got like X Factor and all that stuff. But I mean, Big Brother isn't as amazing as it was.
Is Hertfordshire east or west?
Northwest London.
Oh, so you're quite close.
I'm near St Albans.
Okay.
If you know St Albans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Watford everyone knows Watford. But like I come from like a house that's like got everything in it, and it's like so much space. And then when I moved to Hong Kong, it was just like tiny. Mm-hmm. It was a big culture shock.
So I mean, one thing that we both connected with is I think it makes such a massive impact on your well-being, your mental health, to have a bit of space.
Yeah.
I think it does something to you when everything is just so compact. I mean, you can be efficient and you can learn to like be a minimalist and put everything away and live on not much. But I just think like human beings, we need some space.
Agreed.
I think just living in those small apartments it's not good for you.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I'm so used to having like space. I mean, I don't get it from my mum. I keep saying to her, give me space, because she's such an erotic Jewish mother. But like, when it comes to having your own needs met and wanting your own self-care met, I think it's so important to have that own time to just take a step back. You know, there were so many times where I lived in my flat with a flatmate, and, you know, whenever I came back from work, it was like 9 p.m, I would just go straight to bed, because that's when I needed my sleep. Whereas like my flatmate was just there being like, do you want to do this, do you want to do that? And I'm like, well, I need to look after myself, you know, first and foremost before anything. I do think it does affect people's mental health, but it's not until you take a step back that you realise it. Yeah, I mean, it's the insanity of like, when you're in something, you don't see what it's like, you know, in a relationship. You're in a relationship with someone, and then you don't see how toxic it is until you take it back, you know. And
then, how amazing it is till you use them.
Exactly, right? Exactly the same thing. And that's the same with like Hong Kong. Like, you know, I have days where I'm like, oh, I miss it. I miss the life that I lived. It was very kind of like, it wasn't an easy life. But it was very convenient. You know, I'd walk down the road and there'd be like a gym, or there'd be a healthy food place, and I had my local.
Because you lived right in the centre.
Right in the centre, and like
But I mean, what about people? Because there's a lot of Hong Kongers that don't have the option. You know, they're from Hong Kong and they don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
So, what would you suggest to them? You know, if they're living this tight, confined life, I guess travel more, but that costs money. So I mean, for me, I always like hiking. That's one thing I miss about Hong Kong.
Yeah, 100%. And going wakeboarding, wake surfing, and
because it's not that expensive in Hong Kong.
No,
to do that stuff. Yeah.
You know, I had a friend that lived.
Free.
I had a friend that lived in Psychotic. Not that I did it all the time, but she'd be like, "Come stay with me, Lauren," because she would be like, "Do you want to get out of, you know, Central? Because Central can be so crazy sometimes."
Yeah.
You know, and Hong Kong. Like, one of the reasons why I ended up leaving Hong Kong was because I got to a point in my life where I've always been into working, you know, working is my passion, you know, but then slowly, from the age of 16 until 25, I kind of wanted to do other things, you know, and I went so hard at working that I was like, you know what, Lauren, you need to relax a bit more. And Hong Kong is hard.
Because I would say you are kind of a workaholic. The hours that you put in is crazy. And then you do your own training as well.
But that's why I realised that I wanted to make different priorities in my life, you know. So, and Hong Kong didn't give me that opportunity to take breathing space, because everyone is so work oriented.
And you gotta pay rent.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So now you're back, and now you're doing your masters.
Yeah. So actually, I got offered the job in Hong Kong, and I was only meant to go for 3 months. It was literally like a summer holiday.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and then I got offered to do my masters. And the reason why I'm doing my masters, so my masters is in addiction psychology and counselling, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I grew up in a family that had addictions. I grew up in a family that had mental health issues, and there was a period in my life where I went through the same thing.
So they do say it's genetic, is it?
They do say it's genetic.
But doesn't mean it's triggered. Yeah. Like, you could have it, but doesn't mean it's triggered.
I believe you're born an addict. You know, one of my family members is born in the same family, and he just doesn't have that trait. You know, he just has a drink, leaves it. He has whatever and leaves it, and you know. So I believe you're born an addict, but it's more genetic within families. You know, so most of my family members do have whatever the addictive personality is, and it also can be good things, you know, so it's not bad.
Like work, fitness.
Exactly. So my brother is doing this company now, Cannon Water, and he's always been so...
I see all the time.
Yeah.
He's doing good.
So he's doing really well, and like, you know, he's always been into work, you know, so he's put all his addictions into like good stuff, you know.
Well, let's do just a little shout out about that Cannon Water. So what is that? That's about reducing plastic, basically.
Yeah, so it's resealable water in a can, and it's about reducing plastic so they don't use bottled water anymore, because obviously for the pollution and for the...
I should have had one. Ready.
I do have one somewhere. Yeah, I have some somewhere. But anyway, he came up with the idea, and at the beginning I didn't believe him. Still holds me on that, but now it's everywhere. It's in Whole Foods.
I was so impressed because when I first saw it, or I think you told me about it, I was like, well, how are you gonna pull that off? People buying water in a can.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everyone buys bottled water anyway. Yeah. So if you're gonna do it, you might as well make it environmentally.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And I think it actually stores the water better.
Yes,
right?
it does.
Because plastic can be, especially if you leave your bottle in sunlight, it's really bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good for him.
He's doing really well. But I look up to him quite a lot because, you know, he's got out the other end. He has turned all his life around to just turn it into like good things, you know.
So when did you realise that you had addictive personality?
I mean, it was very progressive, my kind of illness, because I don't identify myself as one thing. I don't say I'm an alcoholic or a drug addict or, you know, I had an eating disorder. I say that, you know, from the age of 11 to the age of 18, it was everything, you know, and it was basically every single thing that triggered off another thing. So like I would drink alcohol, and then I would do drugs, and then I had bulimia, I'd binge and purge, you know, and it became to a point where it was just, it became the norm for me. It was like a habit, you know, and it was all a way of trying to cope with life, or trying to deal with my feelings head on, or, you know, trying to live in society, or fear-based, you know, self-esteem stuff. But I knew that, you know, I had an issue was when I couldn't stop, you know, and it became something that actually, you know, took control of me. And I was like 16 years old. But it wasn't like I was a whiskey drinking a bottom bench, or I was someone that was doing drugs on the side of the street. I was someone that was like, I worked in clubs for years, hospitality, I was modelling, I was doing all these things that like one would love to do, but I was just drinking every day and just doing things that someone that, you know, ended up hating themselves would end up doing, you know. So I'm a firm believer of it's not what you look like, or it's not what, you know, you see on paper or you see on social media. It's how that person on the inside.
Yeah.
I try so hard to talk about my honesty and my truth, which is my life isn't perfect. You know, I have ups and downs, but it's how I go through them, you know. But for the grace of God, I haven't touched a drink or drugs in 5.5 years.
But you know, one thing, because I will admit that I have. You know, I'm definitely an addict with the things that I'm into. I get obsessed with them.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it's all. But I'm very aware of, like, it's something I need to manage.
Yeah,
like, I can't like I mean, there's some things that's why I actually like working with certain directors.
Yeah. Because
then I can just go, you know, nothing holding me back, and they'll hold me back.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas everything else in life, even with like fitness, I just have to be aware, like, because I could just like live in the gym sometimes.
Oh yeah,
or, you know.
100%. I used to train like 2 hours a day. Now I'm like, I train every day, but I can't do any more than that, because I've learned it's about having awareness. 100%. I mean, someone that's an addict that has the awareness around what they're doing, why they're doing it, what feelings they're feeling is incredible, you know, because they can pinpoint when they are doing something and say, you know what, this isn't good for me. You know, it's taken me a long time to get there, because I went through a work addiction. I ended up in rehab for a work addiction from literally taking on too much. Now I'm a firm believer of
That's amazing. I didn't know they had work. I didn't know they were rehab for work addiction. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I ended up making myself ill from it, literally.
Yeah. Actually, I just saw that Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba, the biggest company, he just said that he's going to retire a year from now, because he understands like the pressure of work, and he's just like, no, I want to want to enjoy the rest of my life. I don't want to, you know,
people get trapped.
Take an early grade. I thought it was very smart of him.
No, very smart.
It takes a lot of courage and awareness to do that. I've quit alcohol for 5 years now. I'm an addict, but I gave it up for different reasons.
Yes.
But
everyone has their reasons.
Yeah, but the thing that I found amazing is, like, when you take a step back, it's like, how can you live, like, I respect people so much that can find that balance, and I'm not like, you know, I do miss wine and cheese and things like that, but I am amazed, like, how can you function, like, having a hangover every week?
Yeah.
And like, it's like,
I know, but like I said, it's the
but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You were like, you had so many things on top of each other, you know, and eating disorder, and workaholic, and fitness thing.
But the funny thing is that like I said, it became the norm.
That's what I mean. You're still so young.
So young.
Maybe your body could handle it then. But I mean, you get in your 30s.
No. I look at my life like when I was like 16, and I was like, literally, like, I used to party for days, and I used to have a hangover and then get back on it again. You know, and I'm like, I I can't even go to bed past 10 p.m. now. You know, and I think as you get older, your body does take toll on it, and also as you get older, like you start to prioritize life. You start to think what is most important. You know, me coming back from Hong Kong. You know, in Hong Kong I was doing so much. You know, and now like I'm kind of like just focusing on my family and my friends, and I'm personal training here and there, and I'm doing some stuff on the side. Sunday I'm doing a warm-up for the 10K to Crohn's for like 200 people. Like I'm doing all these little things, but like I am aware of the fact that I can get back into it, you know, and I have said no to a lot of people in jobs.
It's so
and work.
easy to just
Oh,
like
yeah.
slip back into
Yeah.
it.
But I've got my parents tell me, they're like, Lauren, like, don't take too much on. Friends that have known me for years, like one of my best friends, the other day she was like, Lauren, like, I know you when you were doing too much.
Well, so that's one of the things that I think is so great for you being back here compared to Hong Kong. Although you were so good in Hong Kong in that you quickly built up your support group, but I think like having a support group around you is so essential.
So essential.
So essential because there's things that like yes, we can work on self-discipline and self-management and things as much as possible. But it's just human nature that, and if you don't watch yourself, you're going to slip. I mean, everyone is. It's natural. So I think building up a support group is essential. And you're lucky to have it. I got to build my little crew.
Yeah.
You're going to find it.
You will. I mean.
Well, the thing that I love most about here, which I missed about when I lived in LA and New York, is I have so many more creatives here in London than I did in Hong Kong, and that's for me. That's what I need.
100%.
For my
100%. I mean, like you said, that Hong Kong is amazing for so many different things, but I didn't really see much of the industry that you're in out there. But then again, I wasn't really in it. Like, I don't really know any Asian superstars. I personally, you know, didn't know many people that had. Like, I've heard of TVB or whatever, but like in London, it's massive. Like when I was working in clubs, every single one of my friends, even now, are all in the music industry or the modelling industry or the fitness industry. It all works hand in hand.
But like we were just talking, which I think it's important to the distinction because they're totally different people. Like we were just saying the difference between, you know, being a reality TV star and, you know, they have their own attributes and their own strengths, and they have their own sort of career demands. But that's totally different to being, you know, a Tom Hardy or a movie star.
You're never going to be that.
Exactly, or being a TV, you know, being on EastEnders.
Yeah.
You know, they're totally different careers.
100%. I think most reality TV stars stay in the reality TV shows. So
but my point is in Asia and Hong Kong especially, they're kind of everything. It's entertainment is just
because it's such a small, it's so small, you know, whereas London is so broad, and I mean, I guess like I said, I wasn't brought up in Asia, so I don't really know most celebrities out there, but most celebrities were mainly just, a lot of them were like, they just like go to all these events or be like KOLs. That's what I saw. But there was no like Jackie Chan.
Key opinion
leader. Yeah. But like there was no Jackie Chan in Asia, you know. Like I only saw like there's not many.
Well, that's because Jackie spends most of his time in China now.
Oh, okay.
And Australia, I think.
Okay.
And Australia.
Yeah.
Going back to, I had this really interesting conversation with a German friend recently, because I remember there's a lot of people that I think. And now having spent some time in Asia, I think there's a lot more pressure in Hong Kong because there isn't the same mental health awareness out there.
Yeah.
It's especially they don't really believe in psychiatry.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really believe in seeing somebody to talk about your problems. So I feel like you're left to just deal with it.
Yeah.
And you know and so you can tend to go to alcohol or go to things to like solve your thing, and there's pressures to get into it, and if you don't comply to that, it's like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there are for you seeing that, I'd love your thoughts on that. But one thing that I was amazed with my German friend was he was telling me that when I first tried to talk with some friends in Hong Kong about their addictions, and they wanted some help. I remember when I brought some of them to AA, or I was listening to some of the teachings. A lot of it was centered about, okay, the first thing was we have to admit we have a problem, and you have to give up give up that responsibility, because it's like saying, okay, I need help, and that is a very courageous thing. And then my German friend was saying that the way they did it in Germany I found fascinating, because it's all about saying that you do have the strength and you have to find it within yourself, and together we're going to enhance those inner strengths. And I just thought it was like a slightly different approach, which I found quite interesting. Because in the things that I'm interested in, the things that I practice, the things that I talk about, it's all about developing sort of this inner strength. But yeah, it's a very interesting balance to like surrender that responsibility, or to, because I think one danger with saying that I can do it is that then you don't ask for help. Yeah. And then you can just get stuck.
Yeah, I mean the idea of turning your will over and your life over to something, most people think, oh, it has to be a religious God, oh, I don't believe in religion. But really, for me, or for many people, it's about finding something that will take away that power that you give yourself, if you're left alone to your own devices, you can't control it. And I do believe that, when you turn your will and you turn your life over to something else, it's like, okay, well, I hand it over to you, and I don't have to accept what's going on, and I don't have to like it. Sorry, I don't have to like what's going on, but I have to accept it, and it's like anything in life, if you have a sick family member, or if you have a boyfriend that you break up with, it's like saying, you know what, this is not my thing, this is I can't control this, and that's okay, because a lot of my drinking was about control, or a lot of my eating disorder was because I couldn't deal with what was going on, or deal with the issues that was going on. So because I couldn't deal with what was going on, or I couldn't deal with the problem, I had to go and do something else, and to say it's not my control anymore is amazing.
I think it's such an interesting fine balance, because you can see how so many people would run into problems, because it's so out there now of you are responsible for your own world, you've got to take control, and then it's very empowering, but then as soon as something goes wrong, it's very easy not to know how to deal with it, because then it's like, oh my god, everything's my fault. If I'm in control of my world and my world doesn't look good, then it's my fault.
How do you know that you're in control of your world?
Well, exactly. But if that's your belief,
thought process, it's all about the thought process. At the end of the day, I came to change my thought process and realise that I can't control people, places, and things. The two main things. If I go in a fight with someone at work, I can't control the way that person behaves. I can't control a situation that arises. I always thought that I had to control it in order to make it better.
But see, so then most people would then say, okay, I can't control those external things, but at least I can control myself. Yeah. Right? So then what happens if you can't even control yourself?
Well, then you need to turn it over.
Exactly, and that's, I think, the step that a lot of people are almost too proud.
Yeah, right? It's a pride thing. Yeah. The one thing I realised in Hong Kong, like I said, I didn't go to Hong Kong. I literally did not have a clue what Hong Kong was like. Yeah. I got.
Did you know that it was that the English was that good?
No, I didn't know the English was that good, and I didn't know that everyone is alcoholics there. Wow. Everyone loves to party.
So do you think it's more than London? Different environment.
Different environment, more compact. Like I said, a lot of people go to work in London and then they go to the pub, but then they have to get a cab home. Whereas in Hong Kong, you just walk somewhere.
Because that was one thing I always noticed about English style of drinking compared to Europe, is I think it was because the pubs closed at a certain time that everyone would have to smash it. Yeah. Right, and so England was all about fast, intense drinking. Yeah. Whereas whenever I went to Europe, people just took their time. Yeah. They do drink a bottle of wine, but they do it throughout the day. They don't do it in half an hour. Yeah. And in Hong Kong, it's just you walk down the road and you meet a friend because it's so small. You meet a friend, and because there's no driving, you can't driving. Is bad, and also there's London taxis.
is a nightmare.
I think I've complained about it before. I don't want any cabbies showing at my door, like going like stop like black cabs. But yeah, I mean, thank God for Uber because.
Thank God for Uber. But also, Hong Kong is, you can wear anything. Like if you go to a London club, like they're very strict on ID. Whereas in Hong Kong, they just don't care. 7-Elevens, you could be like 10 years old and get a drink.
Well, wasn't that amazing? That amazing stat that they said that the spot like for size that made the most money in LKF, which is that big drinking place, is one of the 7-Elevens because of how much alcohol they sold. Absolutely amazing.
I know.
Right, and most of those was to kids.
And also most people just stand outside the 7-Eleven and just drink.
And pre-drink before the thing because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
That sounds like an English thing.
I mean, so I tried so hard to promote mental health in Hong Kong, and I did the mental health conference.
Did you find it? Were you tempted at all because it was so much more around you?
No, I wasn't tempted, but not tempted at all. But by the end of it, I was disappointed by people that were quite judgmental of the fact that I didn't drink.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they just didn't understand it.
See, I always found that it comes from a place of insecurity because if I see that you don't drink and I do, but maybe I've got a problem, then I have to say you're the one that has a problem. Like
100%.
why can't you handle it? But I think it just comes to this thing of people don't realize how severe it can be.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's you know, I don't want to demonize alcohol or people's lifestyles. I just want to say that if they do have a problem, it's okay to admit that you have a problem. If you can handle your shit, awesome. Good for you. You know? I mean,
I don't judge anyone. I say if you can have a drink and leave it, if you can go and rack up a line once every month and whatever, do it, you know. But if you're doing it every day and it becomes a problem, you know, that's where I believe the addictive personality comes in, because some people have the addictive personality, they can't stop, and then some people, you know, I have friends that grew up and they just like one day just turned around, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore, and now they're just not doing it, you know. I knew that I had that personality and that awareness, so I decided not to do it anymore, and the life choices that I made were the best for me, because at the end of the day, the only person that's left in a room at night is you. So the only person that's suffering is you. Everyone, we're innately selfish people, you know, we wake up and we do think of ourselves. So in order to kind of live our own lives, we do think of what we want to do, you know. It's the same with like fitness lifestyle. It's the same with like, you know, people will be like, oh, do you want a cheesecake? And I know that I can't eat cheesecake because I eat the whole thing. You know, it's the same thing, you know. But having the awareness around it it's getting much better. You know, I find it hard in Hong Kong because, like I said, the Asian culture is very much about like, don't talk about feelings. They had this thing called face, where they just wouldn't say it to people's faces, and I never understood it, because I remember I got in trouble for something in somewhere, and someone came up to me and was like, oh yeah, you know you're doing this. I didn't have a clue because no one told me. And it's like,
you're causing someone to lose face.
Exactly, and I didn't understand it, because I'm like, if you have a problem, say it to me. And I'll obviously, and it was going on for months, you know, and I just didn't get it, because I was like, you know, for me, I'm not the type of person that would ever want to overstep someone's boundary, but because I didn't know that I was doing it, but they obviously didn't want to say anything, because it's all about, you know, not expressing how you feel, or you know, just being nice in front of people's faces and whatever.
Well,
so in a rude way.
Two things. What advice would you give to anyone in Hong Kong that is struggling, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever? Like, what's the thing that they could do?
I mean,
because if all your friends
are doing it,
then who do you talk to about it? Because they're all going to be like, just, you know, they could either be as harsh as just man up, you know, hand over shit.
Well, the culture out there is like literally man up. Like it's the rugby guys out there, you know, it's like everyone goes out and gets smashed after a rugby game, or like there's a lot of like sports, and like after the sports they have like teams that get on it, you know. But I do suggest, you know, maybe going on the internet and finding like support groups in Hong Kong that you can go to. There's Mind Hong Kong as well, that's very much for mental health. There is AA out there, and different groups that you can go to kind of express your concerns or whatever it is. You don't have to be a sheep.
But I mean, because I think there are some people as well who'd be like, yes, I have a problem, but I don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
And if I go to AA, they're going to say, you have a problem, you got to give it up.
Yeah.
So, is there ways that they can just reduce?
Yeah, I mean,
or do you, because you're studying this, or do you think addicts are addicts, and the thing is, once you've like crossed a certain threshold, it's like too late. It's like once I've had a taste for Pringles, you can't stop.
Yeah, I know, I believe that, and I do believe that as young as you are, it doesn't matter whether you are a certain age. People like make this because I'm 16 years old, I can have fun, or I'm 19 years old and I'm drinking now. But if you get to a point where you can't control it, I do believe it's complete abstinence, because I don't believe in people just being like, I can have a drink now and then. And I have seen people try to get sober and then be like, I'm just gonna have one now and then. It doesn't.
Well, because I was always taught that, and I'm always really curious about it from a sort of psychological point of view. That they said once you're an alcoholic, it's always, or once you're an addict, always. Because even if you have a period of sobriety, if you went back to it, it's as if...
It's like, they believe it's phenomenal craving. It's like you have that drink and then bam, it just triggers something off. And I get that, because I can feel it whenever I have like something sugary, or I have back when I used to drink, I'd be like, okay, well, I can have one now.
It's almost like because the pathways are set now.
Yeah.
That as soon as it just goes straight back to it. It's not like you're starting from fresh and you can...
No.
Yeah.
Of course not. Your body has a lot of memory,
So, I mean, if that is the case, and you do want to, reduce because you think you have a problem and you don't want to give it up completely, I don't know, like maybe abstinence is the way, and that there are other ways that you can have fun, other ways you can get around
100%. I excelled my into fitness.
Yeah.
I made friends that were into fitness. I made friends that were like very spiritual, into yoga, and they never judged me if I didn't drink, and it was fun. I remember when I was drinking and doing drugs and even the eating disorder, like it was all about trying to fit in. Mm-hmm. And now being sober, I fit in with people that know the real me, because when I was drinking or doing whatever, it wasn't the real me. I was doing and became someone that I didn't want to be, so now it's kind of like, this is who I am. And I'm learning who I am whilst being sober, because this is my authentic self. When you touch a substance, that isn't you. It's not your authentic self.
So one thing that I was so impressed with what you were doing in Hong Kong is you talk to a lot of schools and things like that. And one thing that I find really heartbreaking that a lot of people didn't know is that Hong Kong has a really high rate of teen suicides.
Yes.
And it comes from a lot of pressure, especially from academics, because I think they start getting tested from when they're like 5, and there's pressures to get into like the primary schools and then high schools, and that determines you in university and all that. So the pressure starts from such an early age, and it's so natural to cave into that. So I mean, what was your experience with that? Did you get to talk to any of these kids?
Yeah, I mean, I went to like 15 different schools.
But did you talk to them about abstinence, or you talked to them about mental health?
Everything. I talked to them about low self-esteem. I talked to them about peer pressure. I talked to them about eating disorders. I talked to them about self-harm. I talked to them about like how much pressure I put on myself, like working, like everything. Like my story is very broad, because I did come from quite a community of people that did put a lot of pressure on me to kind of be a certain way, to act a certain way, to kind of, go to university, get a degree, and, I thought that I was never going to succeed. And that was one of the main reasons why I found it so hard. I went to see a hypnotherapist when I was like 16, because I was so scared that I was going to fail my exams, and I don't know if it worked, but I had a lot of stress around, like, my GCSEs and A-levels, and a lot of the kids that I spoke to were in depression.
Because these pressures might trigger something else.
Yeah. 100%. And it doesn't have to be, addiction. It doesn't have to be drink or drugs, but it can be, a lot of people get into like isolation in their rooms, or self-harm, or a big one is kind of like,
I guess that's a form of addiction. Yeah, it's a form of addiction.
And
the gaming one is huge in Asia. The thing is, It's a weird one for me because I do think gaming is the future.
Yeah.
But I can totally see how, like, if you're not doing it as, like, this is, like, your passion and you're good at it and this is maybe going to be your career, because, like, now these kids can earn millions, right? They're literally sports stars. It's a legitimate sport. But I can totally see how you're not happy with your life. You create this avatar, you create this world, you go into this community. And some of these communities, they support each other.
Yeah.
You know, some people find love on it. You know, so it's a weird one because I think the gaming community is very interesting. But in terms of an addiction, I can.
It's all a way. It's all a way of not trying to feel reality.
Yeah.
You know, it's about. I mean, I remember even before I touched drink or drugs, I used to, you know, like fantasize that I was in a different life, you know, because I didn't want to deal with my own self.
So curiously, this is a more hypothetical, psychological, but what is reality? Because you say you get rid of the alcohol and now this is your authentic self, but was you on alcohol living this, is that not just a different reality?
It's a different reality, 100%.
Yeah. But is that not you as well? If I'm a gamer, is that not me?
No.
You don't think so?
No. You are you in your own body. You know, sitting in a room by yourself and actually feeling the feelings, or actually, like, you know, just doing nothing is you yourself, and then figuring out what you like or dislike, you know. It's so tough because you're always playing different roles. You know, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. You know, a lot of people are obsessed with Netflix. That's a way of not trying to live reality.
Yeah, it's a big one, actually.
You know, it's massive. I even still do it, and I'm still aware of it.
Actually, there was a weird thing that I noticed when I came to London. Because there's this big thing in London of people stealing phones and, like, being on scooters stealing phones. So I noticed in this, like,
I got my phone stolen once.
On a scooter?
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, no.
On a bike.
Oh no.
Yeah, in London.
But I noticed a lot of people aren't on their phones now because everyone's so aware of it. And I was, like, walking down the street, everyone was looking at each other and making eye contact. I was like, wow, this is such a cool feeling. You know, like Hong Kong, everyone is so...
I know.
Yeah. And Hong Kong is crazy safe.
I know,
Hong Kong is such a safe city.
I know, and I need to be aware of that sometimes when I come back, because I'm like, I leave everything open and
Because we were joking about, I live in such a nice area, but the thing is, London is London.
Yeah, London's London.
Yeah.
You know, even in Radlett where I live, it's like, it's still got some areas that are bad.
Oh my god, I told this story to a friend the other day. He couldn't believe it because he was like, you live in such a safe area, what's the scariest thing that's happened? I was like, man, you wouldn't believe, like, I was walking back from Tesco just down the street. I was walking back my shopping bag and this guy ran up to me covered in blood. And I was like totally freaked out. And his head was like gushing.
Oh my god.
And he was like, is it bad, mate? He grabbed me, he's like, is it bad, mate? Is it bad, mate? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad. And then he, like, ran off and I was like, I don't know what I was just a part of there. I didn't know. And I remember like I was like, wow, look at, like, how I'm reacting to this. I did not handle it well.
I can imagine.
But it was such a shock, especially in this environment.
Yeah.
And then you just see a guy.
Yeah. I mean,
London.
I in Hong Kong, I remember I was getting up at 5 a.m. going to teach a class, and this girl, I mean, she looked about 20, 22, 23. She was paralytic on the floor. And, like, obviously, like, her boobs were out, like, you know, and this guy got out of a cab and picked her up and put her in a cab. You know, and I was like, that wouldn't happen in London. You know, in London, you know, you'd get raped or you'd get robbed or whatever, and that's just how it is here, and it's sad, but I mean...
But I feel it's more reality. Like, Hong Kong is this weird bubble.
I know.
Yeah.
It's this weird
We talk about reality.
Yeah.
It's a weird reality.
Yeah. And that's why I knew that after living there in 2 years, it's not somewhere I want to live with for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. You know, people are like, oh, why'd you leave? I'm like, because I felt Hong Kong was a very transient place, and people come and go all the time, and not a lot of people settle. You know, because they don't know where they're going to be in the next 6 years or 6 months. So I kind of, like, you know, I'm 25 years old and I want to in the next 2-3 years settle down. You know, so if I would have stayed there for the next 4 years, it would either settle there, which would have been hard, or I come back and I kind of figure out what I want to do here. And I do know a lot of people in Hong Kong that are still single at the age of 40.
Yeah, it just I don't know, it tugs at my heartstrings.
It's kind of like Neverland there, I feel.
Yeah, but it tugs at my heartstrings because I have so many Hong Kong friends that don't have the option to leave.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and that was one of the reasons why I was so determined to help the art scene there, because people like, okay, yeah, but why don't you just go back to America or go to England? And I was like, okay, but what about all the people here that are super talented and don't have that option? It's like, well, surely while I'm here, we can create something. And it's just, I don't want to feel, you know, I don't want to put out this really depressing, you know, idea of Hong Kong, and it's like, alcohol and depression, and good luck with that because you can't leave.
No.
And apartments are tiny.
No, Hong Kong has some amazing, honestly, Hong Kong has some amazing things about it. You know, like, I fell in love with it. Yeah. Like, when I first moved there, I was like, this is my city forever. I loved the fact that, like, one minute you were like in the centre of, like, kind of like New York, the next minute you're on an island hiking up, you know, and there's such incredible people there, you know, and it's a very good way to network, you know, all the industries in there, you know, excel really well.
So it's so easy to have meetings, like London. London, I noticed so much, like, although it's one city, it's still massive.
100%.
Really
I found it harder to make meetings here because I was driving all the time, and I hate driving. It's so tiring, you know. So I'm like, I've cancelled so many meetings since I've been back because I'm like, I can't wait to go to London, you know. Whereas in Hong Kong, you just go around the corner. Oh, let's meet at 7-Eleven, or let's meet at Pure or whatever, and it's just there, you know. And there's so many collaborations you can make.
My friends really smash me on my driving. They say I add to that Asian stereotype. Like, it's horrible. You know,
you don't crash into people. You don't crash into you. Oh my god. It's like me and skiing.
Embarrassing story. I can't believe I'm sharing this. When we first got our first car, me and my flatmate in LA, he got in. So we drove in. We were renting one car, and we drove to the lot, and we just signed like one of those leases. And so he was driving back the rent car, and I was going to drive the lease car. So he went off first. Literally, boom, pulling out. There's a guy reversing, and there's an old guy reversing into the car, and I was like so panicked I didn't know what to do. And like I was just like shouting at him. You couldn't hear. I should have honked it. He reversed straight into it. Like, I did it less than 5 seconds. Less than 5 seconds getting in the car. Boom.
Oh my god.
Luckily, it was a tiny dent, and he gave us some money to fix it. But my god. Yeah, I'm definitely fit into the stereotype.
Are you driving here?
I'm going to get my license again, but I mean, there's no need to drive.
No, not in London.
Especially because you have
I live.
You have to pay the
congestion card.
Congestion.
Yeah. I mean, I drive because I live so far away. I don't like trains here.
Yeah.
Trains. Another good thing about Hong Kong. Convenience on trains.
Oh my god.
The octopus.
The MTR.
How clean it is.
The MTR is so cheap.
I remember when I just didn't remember it, but I remember I had a client in Ep6 and I was training her like 4 times a week, and every time I got on the train I would like take a drink with me. I'd get the dirtiest looks. It was like water, but they'd be like, you can't have anything.
It's so funny.
Whereas here, like McDonald's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I totally forget that it's allowed. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta drink this drink quickly, and then I'm like, oh, everyone's got something.
I know. I don't like trains in London.
And then the central line especially is tiny, and everyone's cramped, and there's no aircon.
I know.
Right? Even when I got to this apartment, we had this amazing summer in England. I don't know if you were back yet. You know, England was winning the football.
No, I wasn't. The
summer was amazing.
Like, I know.
Love Island was on. Everyone was going crazy. And then I walked around the apartment, and I was like, oh my god, it's so hot. Where's the aircon? And I'm like, my god, England flats don't have air conditioning.
Oh.
Right? And then I was like, what's this thing? And it's like, it's a heater. Like, I forgot, you know.
Which is the opposite, because in Hong Kong you have central heating,
and everyone gets cold from
from lack of central heating. So I mean, I lived in Hong Kong with aircons.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot all the time, humid. My first year in Hong Kong, I remember it was just like aircon on, spending so much money on just the aircon. It is completely different, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Okay, well, to wrap up that last subject. So if you're a kid or a teen, I mean, the thing is, addiction can start at any age, right?
Any age.
And then what can you do if you don't? You know, if you feel that isolation or you feel lost, I mean, who's there to talk to if there's no? I'm not even sure what to do. Like, what advice do you give to these students when you go?
I mean, the advice that I give to students is to kind of, find someone that you can kind of confide in.
Yeah.
That you can kind of just say, this is what's going on for me. I mean, the best thing I ever did was telling my parents. Even though I thought they were my worst enemy, they kind of knew what to do.
That must take a lot of courage.
Yeah, it was so hard. I mean, also it was hard because obviously a lot of my family members had their own things going on. When I was really bad was when my baby brother got cancer, and that was like the hardest thing to kind of realise, because the way that I dealt with it, like I said, was just going into my own little bubble or whatever. But I hit rock bottom mentally, and I remember saying to my parents, I need help. And they like, obviously rehab it was the way for me, but a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to pay for rehab, it's a lot of money. I get that, but there is support groups, and you go on the website.
Is there support groups in Hong Kong as well?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of support groups. There's a lot of different anonymous groups that you can go to, people you can speak to. There's hotlines. There's a lot of hotlines on the internet.
And it's fine for any age as well, right? I think some people, they get nervous because they're just teenagers and they're like, well, I don't want to be with a bunch of adults.
I mean, that's how I felt. Yeah. But you can still, my mum's my best friend. Like, she's sober, and I go to meetings with her sometimes.
I mean, I got to admit, I was so impressed when I went with a friend to support. And we were in this meeting, and there was this like 17-year-old kid.
You were my first friend that I bought.
Well, you asked me to come.
Yeah.
And
so I was nervous to go.
And I had some, and so I mean, I like to go and support, but I remember
because you get a lot out of it.
The 17-year-old kid stood up, and I was like, wow, that's so much maturity to be able to be like, I've got a problem at 17. Like I was just like, that's.
But when you catch that problem and you do something about it, your whole life is your oyster. I believe that my world is my oyster. Every decision and every choice that I make, it doesn't have to be a good one or a right one. It's my decision, and I don't know where I'd be right now if I was back in my addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would end up dead. God knows what. I stopped at 18, and God knows what I would have done if I probably would have ended up doing things that I would never thought I'd end up doing, because that's the way that it was going. Mm-hmm. I fully believe that if you have it, it's good to stop it early, because a lot of people, what they do, they carry on to the age of 40, and then they fuck up their lives. Sorry, am I swearing? They fuck up their lives. So I said it again. They screw up their lives, and then they're like, oh, I wish I did it when I was younger, and then they get sober when they're 50, or they deal with that problem when they're 60, and that's the toughest thing, because that's the hardest. Because for me, I was 18 and I didn't have responsibility. I didn't have priorities. I didn't have a family, I didn't have kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I wasn't affecting other people. The only person I was affecting myself. So if I would have carried it on, I would have ended up, affecting other people even more.
And the other trap I feel is sometimes some of these addictions are attached to career choices or life choices.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like, well, I can ride it out until this job is finished, or I can ride it out. But the thing is, I think then it's also a matter of perspective in terms of what happiness is.
Oh, 100%.
Because
that's the main thing.
Yeah, if you're actually screwing up your life, as you say, it's so hard not to say F.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I swear all the time, whatever. So it's really hard not to fuck up your life. There are so many other ways to be happy.
Yeah.
And if you're having to compromise your health, your mental health for someone else's idea of happiness, whether it's your parents, whether it's your boss, whether just take a step back. That's why these meetings are amazing, because it gives you perspective.
Yeah.
When you hear other people's stories, you don't even have to say anything.
No.
Right, you just go and listen.
And I even say to all my best friends, I'm like, I know you don't have a problem, but you're more than welcome to come to an open meeting with me to see, because a lot of friends I have or people that I grew up with, they all have issues. It doesn't have to be drugs and alcohol. It can be I've got an issue at work, or I'm stressed with this, and it is about taking yourself outside of the society and saying that actually life is just about being happy. Going back to the simplest things of what is most important to you. There was a period when I just moved before I moved back to London, where I was having a bit of family issues, and I was doing colour therapy every day, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, because the reason why I like colour therapy is because I go back to my childhood. I go back to beyond making money and responsibilities and life and stuff that stress me out, you know. I go to things like listening to music and what makes Lauren happy, what kind of, you know, does she want to do in life, you know, because we forget what makes us happy because we get so trapped in what other people want us to do, you know, especially in social media, especially in, you know, when we have a job and when we work.
Do you remember what you wanted to do as a kid?
I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Did you?
Yeah, I love digging up.
That was on my list. I think it was Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
really,
I wanted to dig up skulls.
I wanted to dig up dinosaurs.
Yeah, I don't know why. And then I wanted to be in the Olympics.
Wicked.
Yeah, I loved everything to do with fitness. And that's why I ended up going to university and dropping out because.
What did you study your first
business?
Business.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I kind of did business because everyone else was doing it, and then I remember crying to my parents, being like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then I did my level 2 and level 3 in fitness, and it was the best thing I ever did. But life changes because, you know, I have got my personal training degree, a course, whatever. But now I'm like really passionate around like maybe working in psychiatric wards, or maybe working with people that have like, you know, schizophrenia or addiction issues, or talking to young girls with eating disorders, you know. And kind of like the reason why I want to do my masters is that I can put the two together, because fitness and mental health is basically
it's so linked, yeah.
It's linked, you know. So I'm really passionate and I'm really happy to study that, you know. So I like Hong Kong was an amazing opportunity in the long run, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted. You know, it wasn't giving me the things that I needed.
Wasn't on the path.
Yeah.
For your long-term goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
And what's the long-term goal then? You'd be life coach.
Love life coaching, yeah, and I'd love to be on TV. But not
I could see you.
Yeah, but not in a celebrity kind of way, but in kind of like people looking up to me, you know, like. So there's this.
Is Trisha still on?
Trisha's still on, but there's a TV program and it's called In Therapy on BBC, with this woman called Mandy, and she was my first ever psychiatrist in rehab.
Really?
Yeah, and she basically does therapy on all celebrities.
Well, you've got the connects.
Well, I'm not going to call her up and be like, yo.
No, but get your masters first.
Exactly,
right?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been like, yeah, you need to get your masters. But I would love to do kind of like transformations, and I don't care about, you know, people getting six packs. I want to make people mentally, you know, love themselves. You know, you can be a certain size, and it's not about what you look like; it's about how you feel. You know, I've met a lot of people, and even me. You know, when I was modelling and I was a size 8, I still wasn't happy. I still looked in the mirror and thought I was fat. Yeah. You know, so it's all about my mental space. And
body dysmorphia.
Yeah, completely. Fuck with that.
Mm. Well, one thing I think will change at some point in our society is our education system. Yeah. Like you said, like even going to university, I know the UK for one, you know, was really pushing people to go to university, but for why? You know, because originally it was because it's the best way to figure out who's the best for your workforce, right? And it wasn't, and then it sort of, there was a separation from getting proper education, you know, to like, well, this is what you need to get a job, right? And everyone needed a degree so they could get a job because everyone had a degree. But then if everyone has a degree, then now everyone needs a master's to get a job, right? So it was just, this became this crazy thing, and it really loses what it is about education.
Yeah.
And so high school education, or, you know, I don't know what they call it in the UK, high school, but all of that preliminary school, secondary school, all of that changes its aspect because it's now about passing tests rather than getting proper education. And I think there will be a change to just understanding ourselves more, understanding what we want out of life, and because where do you ever learn about mental health? Like this term, it's like a lot of people don't even know that there is a mental health. You know, nutrition. You know, why don't we learn about nutrition at school? You know, Jamie Oliver's great, but you know, Asia, it's not really a thing. So I mean, I do think so much comes from education. I do hope it changes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that are what's successful now that don't even have education.
And yeah, so going back to Asia, I forgot, we're talking about like Asian having a high rate of teen suicide. Is it not correlated that they also put zero emphasis on physical activity?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Because their main idea is just to go into education, which I think is such an Asian kind of tradition. It's been going on for years. So like it goes beyond that. It goes to like learn behaviour. So if your parents have been indoctrinated into that, then they're going to indoctrinate their children, and then their children. Whereas
and how do you break the cycle?
Exactly, but it is about breaking the cycle. Which is hard. I remember when, I'm not going to name names, but a friend of mine back in Hong Kong, her, she was a sportswoman, and I loved the fact that her parents wanted her to go do academics and go be a lawyer or whatever, and she was like, no, I want to be a sportswoman, and I was so impressed by that. But I don't know if her parents accepted her for it, and it is about breaking that cycle, and hopefully now that she can do that, she can show to her kids that it's not about just academics. My baby brother just got into Nottingham, and he's so academic, and I'm so proud of him. And he's like, I look at him and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And then I look at my sister, and she's so like artistic, and that's just one way, and there's no right or wrong. But obviously society tells you that you have to go a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm not doing my masters because I want a masters. I want to do it because I'm passionate around what I'm studying. Even if I don't get the masters, I don't care. I'm still studying.
I feel so many people are at university doing stuff they don't really care about.
100%.
Just because they're meant to go.
They're meant to go, 100%, and then they get in debt. And unfortunately, for 2 years I was doing business, and I was good at it. Unfortunately, I dropped out because of my baby brother getting ill. But that doesn't take away what I've learned. But I just didn't get the degree. And actually, I got my master's because of not me getting the degree, of my experience with the Amy Winehouse Foundation, the Princess Trust, working in Hong Kong with schools and doing all of this stuff. When the lecturer at London South Bank asked me if I got a degree, I said, look, I have to be honest with you, I didn't finish it. But through my experience and what I've done with my life, she said, well, it doesn't really matter whether you've got a business degree.
Exactly.
And thank God. But because I'm studying something like psychology, people get that. I think if it was something else, like a law degree, I think they'd be a bit more harsh. But she knows, obviously, because it's about mental health, and it's about the fact that it's not about what the end result is, it's about how far you go.
Yes.
How much you push yourself. She could see that I was hard working, she could see that I was passionate.
Yeah.
And a lot of people nowadays that actually do get jobs, they're very good talkers. They're very good at kind of selling. Some of them don't have degrees, but they're good at walking the walk and talking the talk. And that's why I've always been quite good at talking and getting it without getting a degree. Because
it's a different kind of attribute or an experience, and I think
because
it's just as essential.
I had friends that went to Oxford and couldn't find jobs.
Yeah.
And they had that, but they couldn't talk. And they couldn't,
But that's all one system of education. I mean,
Exactly.
a lot of Asian students have that problem.
Yeah.
They're like A students, and they'll ace a test because you give them a chance to study, but give them
But it's just
give them something, a challenge on
Yeah.
the fly or something like that, or want them to be, do a more creative thing, and it is a challenge.
Yeah.
Learn,
And that's where
learn
a lot
to
of
public speak.
That's where a lot of suicide comes in, because it's like you kind of lose who you are when you're doing something for someone else, and that pressure to kind of like, succeed. And perfectionism is such a big thing nowadays.
Yeah.
The idea of trying to be perfect, to get everything right, there's no such thing. For so long in my life, I always thought that I had to get everything right, and if I got one thing wrong, I was fucked. And that's why I put so much pressure on myself. And that's where a lot of my addictions came in, because I couldn't deal with that pressure. I couldn't deal with that idea of being perfect, because I was setting myself up for failure.
Well, that moves quite nicely into this next thing I want to talk to you about, which is this Instagram phenomenon. Because, you talk about lifestyle. One thing that I think people really don't get is that, these six-pack images of people, isn't a realistic or the only sort of, matrix for what health should be. Metrics for what health should be. And a lot of these guys, they're absolutely shredded, but they don't maintain it.
No, of course
it's
not.
just for a day.
It's just a day, and it's just a photo. Like I've been in the industry for years, and I went for a period actually of literally getting shredded, and I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
You know, I look at photos back where I was just like so skinny, so lean, and I was literally giving up a lot of my life, you know, and now I'm not as lean as I used to be, but I'm happier, you know, because I'm able to do things that I want to do and go out and enjoy my life, you know. A lot of these things on Instagram is like, it's just one snippet of people's lives. Doesn't mean that they're happy, you know. I know people that are so successful and not happy, or go through times where they look amazing and then they don't, and that's where it is a very unrealistic idea.
But then how do you handle the client like that comes to you and you can see that, you know, they have issues, they want to come to fitness to solve the thing, and then they're like, okay, that my goal then is to get a six-pack. That's my goal, and I like almost do anything to get it. You know, how do you say, well, okay, yeah, that's something we can do if that's what you want, but that shouldn't how you should measure your health?
No. I mean, the idea for people is to actually experience it themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so what I would do is I'd say, okay, well, let's try and get you a six-pack, and then, you know, see if you can maintain that. But most of the time, a lot of people can't maintain that in a long period of time, you know. I believe in giving someone the realistic goal, you know, to not get a ripped six-pack, but, you know, get to where they kind of feel comfortable. I mean, it's a lot of strict diet. I don't think drinking's the right thing for it, you know. It's a lot of, you know, early night sleep, drinking a lot of water, you know, not eating things that sometimes you can't, you know, you obviously want to eat.
Pizza, I miss it so much. Yeah.
I don't eat pizza.
But the thing is, like, this is the trap, I feel, because I know a lot of people, and it usually happens around weddings or things like that, or maybe, you know, they've got a bit of money and now they're like, hey, finally I want to look the way they want, and they go to a PT, and I'm not knocking PTs because I've got a lot of friends who are personal trainers, but they'll go to a PT, they'll go to an expensive gym, and they'll do like a 6-week, 12-week, and pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
They start taking like all these supplements and all these things, and they'll get it, and then the course is over, and then suddenly it's gone.
Yeah, because it's not realistic. It's not a long-term goal, you know. I had that a lot with one of the gyms in Hong Kong. I was just like, well, this isn't going to work. You get it like that, and then, you know, it's about a lifestyle. It's not about a diet, you know. All these diets I do not believe in. I believe in wake up, train, eat 3 meals a day, have everything you need, fats, protein, carbs. I try and stay away with sugar, and then do that every single day.
Yeah.
And then you'll get, like, you know, some sort of thing that you need. But if you starve yourself, or if you know, go on a diet that isn't gonna be something for, like I get, like, someone was talking about like a keto diet the other day, and like I was like, oh yeah, that's good, but like you can do that for the rest of your life. You know, once you're off that diet, what you can do, you know, it's about having that balance.
Yeah.
And
that's why, like, I always like setting goals that weren't physically based.
Yeah.
You know, because I did that especially for shoots or things like that, and especially boxing. Like boxing taught me a lot of bad habits, because I knew how to drop weight fast.
Yeah.
And the only thing that mattered was how much you weighed.
Yeah.
Right. So then you cut water, all that stuff. You do all these little tricks, and it's
Yeah.
really unhealthy. But I like stuff like learn how to do a handstand. You know, because like that's a skill, right? And that's something you can work towards. Your goal thing. You're gonna get healthier, flexible, more, you know, all that stuff, and it doesn't really depend on what you look like. Yeah, if you're a bit overweight, you know, being, you know, fitter will make it easier, and like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, running I think is a good one. Like I do. Running is not my friend.
You do run though. I see that you run.
Yeah, but because it's not my friend.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it my friend.
Yeah.
No. So because I read this really interesting thing. Well, that's one of the things I was talking about. Is when I was growing up, I was always taught that swimming is the best form of cardio. Yeah. Right. But then I was listening to this Henshaw. He was just in England. He was just in London. I'm so sad I didn't get to see him. And he was this ultra Ironman athlete, incredible, and he's like huge in America because he became a coach, the endurance coach for a lot of CrossFit athletes and the champions. And he was saying one of the massive benefits of running over swimming and anything else is that you're supporting your own body weight. And I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I really, because swimming you don't, right? And actually, that's why these huge guys, like the bigger you are, the taller you are, the bigger stroke you have, the more power it is, the more it makes sense. It's better because you don't have to hold your body weight.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get huge in running, yeah, it's tougher because you're a big guy.
Yeah.
And but that's why, yeah, I did want to run more. Initially, of course, put off for running because of like things like shin splints and things like that, and bigger guys. I was always better at like sprinting and long distance. I was like, okay, leave it for like the skinny guys.
Yeah.
But I do think it's accessible for everyone. Now you've been running your whole life. Yeah.
I love it. And I always go back to it, you know. I tried so much in Hong Kong to try different things. Yeah. And that's the good thing about Hong Kong. You can go to all these different gyms and there's all these different like people promote, like even like when I was at XYZ cycling, you know, I was going all the time. But nothing ever took away how much I loved run.
What is it then about running?
I just get some therapy out of it. I just get something mentally, you know, that I've never got before, you know. I'm in love with nature, you know, as a personal trainer.
So you don't do treadmill running?
No, sometimes. You know, I'd rather go out. Like yesterday morning I woke up and I was about to go to the gym at the back because I've got a gym back in my garden. But my mind was like, it's a nice day, why not run outdoors? And I ran 10K, you know, and it was like, I get something out of just running towards something, you know. And I every country that I go to, whether it was like Bali or, you know, America or even Marbella, every morning I'd run, you know, and it's my way of getting my nature and it's my way of seeing the world, you know, and it makes me happy.
Do you run with music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then do you run for distances, or you just kind of like set a goal? Or do you check
pretty much 8 to
beforehand?
10K. I don't do more than
So
that.
do you check it beforehand?
Yeah.
Like where you're gonna go?
Yeah.
And then you. Oh,
yeah, I've got my Apple Watch. I've also got a Garmin. I've also got like obviously Nike on my phone.
Do you use like apps to like tell you your speed, or you do it all yourself?
Yeah, no, I do my apps. Yeah. I do apps. I've got obviously the Apple Watch does it as well. So, I mean.
Any apps you use? Recommend?
Nike Run is good. Then there's Runkeeper. That's good. And then obviously the Apple Watch is really good. Garmin's are really good. You know, it depends because Apple Watch has got everything. It's got like you can use.
Does it do your heart rate as well? No?
Everything, yeah.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Just from being on your wrist. Technology nowadays.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Because I think Nick Brown has.
Yeah.
And he always.
Oh, they all have it.
He's always showing how many calories he burns.
Yeah.
For his swing passes and stuff.
Yeah, and it's really good when it comes to like tracking things.
But I mean, it does freak me out when you do a long intense run and you've only burnt like 300 calories, which is like 1 Mars bar.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter about calories.
But I mean, yeah, no, it doesn't. But I mean, it for those who do want to lose weight, that's why I was always like, your diet is so much more important.
Yeah.
Because you can't outwork a bad diet.
Yeah, agreed. Trust me, agreed. Yeah. Which is something that I'm trying to keep.
My God, you talk about addiction, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I got back, I was like, oh my God, English sweets. Like, I'm walking down, it's like, all the things I missed, like Jaffa cakes.
I know.
Ugh.
Oh my God, Jaffa cakes. I know. That's why I say
they've got Krispy Kreme in Tesco's.
I know.
In Tesco.
I know.
Just sitting there looking at you.
That's why I don't eat sugar. I just can't. Last night was Rosh Hashanah, which is like a Jewish festival, and they say you have apple and honey, and like sitting there, my grandma made apple pie.
So good.
So good. I mean, I come from.
But it's like sweet on sweet. It's like, what are you doing to me?
Whereas next week's Yom Kippur, so it's like you fast. So it's like, because it's like New Year's. So
Yom Kippur is what's the fast? It's from sun up? Is it to sundown?
No, that's Ramadan.
Ramadan.
The fast is just a day fast.
24 hours, is it?
24 hours, yeah. From when you, the sun, I think it is actually from when the sun goes down.
Till when it goes down again.
So when it goes down again, it's like the whole day. So you like pray the night before, you make a whole feast, and then you fast, and then you break the fast.
Is it water as well?
No, it's everything. You can't even brush your teeth. Which I do because I'm not religious, but like if you're religious, you can't do anything.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
No water as well.
Yeah.
Because I can do no food for 24 hours easy.
Yeah.
But no water as well. That's impressive.
I know it's crazy.
But it's just one day a year.
It's one day a year.
One day a year.
Can
you just sleep it off?
Yeah.
Oh,
you can.
yeah.
I usually go to synagogue, but I didn't yesterday, so I was bad Jew.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a bit naughty.
Well, your Yom Kippur's coming up. You can.
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna be good
atone.
then. I'm gonna
Atone for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna atone for it.
Okay, cool. Well then, one other thing I was going to ask about, which Henshaw was saying, which I really love, is he was saying that as we get older, we have to run. It was amazing. He was saying like one thing that we don't lose is our ability to like endurance.
Yeah.
Right. So as you get older, your endurance thing doesn't. The time for endurance doesn't decrease that much.
Yeah.
But your sprint time drops massively because of like fast twitch and stuff. Because as you get older, you should actually work on your sprinting stuff more and power stuff more. Whereas like someone like me, because I never do it, I need to work on the long distance.
Yeah.
But he was always he said like it's so interesting for guys like me. He's like, how much do you bench? Yeah, I know. How much do you squat? I know. He goes, how fast do you run a 5K? I have no idea. I have no idea. How fast you run 400 meters, 800 meters? I have no idea.
Well, that's something you need to work on then. You know? And I'm the same. I don't bench.
Yeah.
I don't lift. It's just not my thing.
I cycle. But do you know your 5K time? Your best?
No, not really. I'm 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 25.
I think you'd be like 20
Yeah.
minutes, yeah. But I think it was so interesting that because a lot of guys work out like with number focus.
Yeah.
And I think to do it, and that's how I'm enjoying doing it, to always make running exciting is by and having these apps. I use Under Armour's Map My Run.
Oh, nice. Okay, so look into that.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I'm such a cheat because I kind of because I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I don't really like because I'm also worried about getting run over.
Yeah.
Because when I listen to music. So that's why I like.
But
that's why like I almost get run over walking. Like
Yeah.
I'm horrible. So that's why I like the track because it's even. It's like it's controlled. It's the same. There's no excuses. And I can really like track my pace because that's what motivates me is the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I love running in country lanes. Like
do you ever do sprinting?
Not really, no. I do. I sprint on treadmill, but I do a lot of more longer distance stuff. I mean, most of my long distance stuff is like I do sprint most of it. Like as in if I'm about to do another K, I just sprint a bit, or I sprint a bit, or I love hill running. Hill running is like my thing. I sprint up a hill.
So I was one of the best things about hill running, if people want to do it, is that it's because you never have the impact.
Yeah.
Because you do the drive. But then your foot's right there.
Yeah.
So that's why running up is amazing.
Yeah.
But running down isn't. Right?
Yeah, it's bad.
You shouldn't run down. Yeah.
I usually don't run down, but around my area I do this nice like 7K, 8K. It's flat, but then it's hills.
Yeah.
And I love hills. I've always loved hills. I remember I did my first half marathon. It was in St Albans. It was all hills. And for some reason I love tackling a hill.
Have you done a full one?
No, I've done like 8 half marathons, but I did 26 miles is different.
So my friend Michelle, who was just on the last episode, she's preparing for her first half
Nice.
Ironman. I'm amazed because she's a really good swimmer.
Yeah.
And then her running is good, but it's her biking, and she was
Yeah.
telling me how in the Ironman it's all about the bike.
Yeah.
Triathlon, it's all about the bike.
Yeah. See, if I went to an Ironman, I'd be fine with bike and be so fine with running, but give me the swimming. I'm so bad.
But apparently the swimming is the one that makes the least impact.
Yeah.
Because I could see you doing an Ironman.
I would like to. And I was thinking about it actually doing some more half marathons. My brother and I actually are going to do a 20K. We were meant to run this morning, but I didn't wake up in time.
Have you done a marathon?
No, not a marathon, no.
Would you do the London one?
Yes. I was meant to do it and then I didn't end up doing it.
So what about the chat that marathons aren't good for you?
Yeah, I mean... too many.
But it's an achievement.
Yeah, it's not 100% doing one once, but not every year.
Yeah.
Or maybe every year, but not do it. Like I heard that
So how do those ultra marathon runners get away with it?
I don't know.
Or do you think it's just bad for their joints?
I don't know. I don't really have a right or wrong belief with it because, I mean, I have a friend that does ultra marathons and she just smashes it, and I just.
So that was my other thing, is like, because a lot of people ask me this, especially like, now I'm in my 30s and I'm weightlifting, stuff like that. They're like, oh, isn't that a young man's thing? And I'm like, well, my cousin is incredible skateboarder. He was just the coach for the Asian Games. I mean, he was a referee at the Asian Games, and then going to do the Olympics and all of that for the team. And he's I think he's in his 50s now.
Wow.
Maybe not yet. and he still skateboards, right? Everyone's like skateboarding, the impact on your knees is bad for your joints and stuff like that. Exactly.
It's all bullshit.
And I feel like it's a fine balance between you have to stay active. These things that are maybe bad for your joints, if you do it all the time, is very beneficial. Just don't overdo it.
Yeah, 100%. Like my dad's 55.
Yeah.
He trains every day.
Yeah. So you're a runner?
He doesn't run. He knows cycles and he goes in the gym. He's all my grandpa's a bodybuilder.
But cycling is low impact.
Yeah. So like my dad actually stopped lifting weights, like heavy weights. He does more cardio now because he's much older.
Yeah.
And my personal trainer's like 55.
But hang on, because I've seen your dad. And for your dad, not
He's
heavy
always-
weights just means like...
Yeah, he's always...
Your dad's weights are pretty heavy for like normal...
He's always been quite big. He's always been naturally big, you
Yeah.
know, so, I mean, he does do more cardio than he was doing heavy. But I think it's genetics, you know. I've always been quite big as a person because I come from a family
That's why I'm surprised you wouldn't be a good swimmer, because it's that...
Yeah,
shoulder.
maybe. I just never liked... I had a perforated eardrum when I was younger. I had a hole in my
So that
eardrum.
you don't like going underwater.
Yeah, so I don't really like going underwater. I get scared.
Yeah.
So, but you never know. Maybe in the future, it's good to try new things.
So someone first trying, because you must have so many, because you train people for running specifically as well, right? So someone first starting off with running, one of the biggest worries is shin splints.
Yeah.
Like, I always get worried with shin
Yeah.
splints. Where does that come from? Is that calf? Is it the shin muscle? What is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly shin muscle, but so most of the time, a lot of people aren't running properly. It's the way that they're running. You know, a lot of people do toe heel when it should be heel toe.
Really?
Yeah, and also it's like they're running slants.
Because I heard that that it's the heel that jars. If you hit it, if you land on the heel, that it jars up the leg. You should be landing on the pad, especially sprinting.
I think so. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Interesting.
Maybe I got it wrong.
I
don't know because the way that I run,
the
the thing is the way that I run is I've never had any issues.
Big strides, small strides.
Yeah, big strides, but I've never had any issues with my body ever. You know, and people are like, oh yeah, my calves, my knee.
Do you stretch a lot?
Yeah, I stretch a lot, but I have a lot of warm bars and I have a lot of cold bars and I have a lot of rest time. You know, but I think a lot of people's stance and the way that they run, it should always be checked, and their shoes as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's places now like Runner's World that can like look at what you're wearing, shoes, because it is so important. A lot of people run with like Nikes, and they're not good for you.
Well, have you heard of this barefoot running?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever tried running barefoot?
Yeah. Well, I was running with what are they called? 5 fingers.
Oh, like the ones that's basically nothing, right? Yeah.
And it's weird, but it was alright. I mean, I think that everyone's different.
Like get your toes.
I know, it was so strange. I've got like 10 pairs at home. I should get that back on again.
Because when I first saw it, I thought it was for climbing. I didn't realise.
It could be from climbing as well.
Yeah.
But they believe that as a caveman, you were running bare feet.
Yeah, feet are designed for running.
It's meant to be better to have just flat feet.
Yeah.
But because your feet are so used to not having flat feet, to go into that, it's quite hard to adjust.
Mm. There's this really interesting, maybe I'll show you later. I think it was a BBC thing, a semi-documentary on. They're trying. I can't remember the fastest marathon time, but they were trying to break it. And so they simulated it by like a track, so they could it's all flat. They control the wind and all of that. And they basically, and they prepared I think it was a Nike thing, they prepared the athlete, the nutrition, all of that, they just prepared all the conditions. And they basically found out that nowadays human beings are already running as fast as humanly possible. And the only thing that's going to break it now, like to give you those extra few minutes, is like shoes. And they were showing it that it's actually the team around you, because it breaks the wind more, and it's such a big factor just to get a few minutes faster. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like the technology they put into, because I didn't realize that marathons, it's a big industry.
Oh, it's massive.
Yeah, I just didn't realize it's that big.
It's massive. Yeah. I mean, I think every industry is massive in its own right, but it depends where you are in the world. I think marathons. I mean, in Hong Kong, trail running was massive.
Yeah.
You know, here there is a lot of Olympic athletes that do short distance direct sprinting or, what's her name, Paula Radcliffe doing marathons and stuff. I mean, I love it. Nike as well. You know, if anyone gets a chance, they should go on Nike's website and do some 10k runs with them.
Wicked.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too with the UA map my run. You see, like, you know, it's nice to get like, oh, you did 1k, good job.
I know. Oh yeah, you got
that little
I know.
buzz.
It's like you just burnt like Krispy Kreme.
Yeah,
It's good though to motivate people because it's not. At the end of the day, it's not about.
Do you get that runner's high? Apparently, there's a runner's high.
Oh yeah,
you have to do it over 15 minutes or something.
I get that runner's high. I get it all the time. I'm like buzzing after that.
But you know what? You know what's mad is growing up, I always associated fitness with runners.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why when I found CrossFit, I was so happy.
Yeah.
Because I was always shit at running.
Yeah.
I was always fast.
Yeah.
I could do sprints, but I could never do long distance.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, maybe I'm just not very fit.
Yeah.
And then when I found like CrossFit, I was like, wait, I can do this.
But fitness it's not just one sport.
Exactly.
You know, I can't lift heavy weights.
Well, I think CrossFit says they test 7 types of fitness.
Yeah.
It's just 7 types of fitness. So that's why I really want to push it out there for my listeners that, you know, there's lots of different health goals, not just a 6-pack. It's like 7 types of fitness.
Yeah.
You can be a runner, you could be weightlifter. Just find something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, what you love. And that's the one thing that I always found really hard with a lot of people in the industry, because they would be like, oh, well, I can do this the best, and what you do is not good enough. Whereas, you know, it's not right or wrong, it's just different, you know. I remember back in Hong Kong, Danny Means, you know, she's mad. Like, she's like number one.
She lifts more than me.
Yeah, she's number one, like, she do like weightlifting or something, and, you know, I looked at her and she was like, Lauren, like, I can't believe how much you run, you know, that's crazy. And I looked at her and she was like, oh, you know, I was like, I can't believe what you do. And, you know, she's fit in her own right and I'm fit in my own right, but there's no right or wrong, you know. It's about what you can do.
What motivates you, find something you're passionate about and do it. And also one thing that I was so impressed with, especially with running, is how fast your body adapts. And how, because I remember like I was friends with a couple of people, they were definitely not runners, didn't look like runners. And then they just started going like every day. Yeah. And then like, you know, in a year's time, they're totally different. They were doing stuff I couldn't even imagine.
Because your body does adjust. I mean, obviously running is something that, you know, they do believe that it's better to use your whole body than use something that's obviously, like weightlifting is good, but I think
bodybuilding is all isolation. It's all, and it's so image oriented. Yeah. That's why find your thing, find your sport.
Yeah,
I mean, and
that's why I say to all my clients, you know, they're like, oh, I hate fitness, and they associate it with the gym. Yeah. The gym doesn't have to just be exercise, you know, it can be anything. Yeah. You know.
And running, you just need shoes.
Yeah, exactly. And
get an app free. Apps free.
Exactly, and also like, you know, it's so funny because people are like, oh yeah, like what makes you happy? And I can go anywhere in the world and run. You know, and actually the hardest times where I've been through the hardest things, running has helped me. You know, my grandpa passed away last year and how I dealt with that was by running.
Do you always program it in your PT things? Like if people come to you, they want a 6-pack or whatever, do you always like schedule a bit of running? Yeah,
of course. Or a bit of cardio here and there. You know, it's good for the body. Obviously fasted cardio is good as well. Sprints are also good. It depends how much fat you want to burn. You know, a lot of it does burn muscle.
Fasted cardio, I was going to say, like, what about those guys who are like, oh, I don't want to burn my muscle though?
So fasted cardio is good.
But doesn't that burn the muscle?
No, short fasted cardio.
Short fasted.
Yeah, not like the half marathon.
And not like super high intensity sprinting.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
just a little jog. Yeah. Okay, awesome.
I do believe it's good for the body. For a little bit of like, cardio in there. But cardio is anything. You could do 10 squat jumps, that'd be cardio. Do you know what I mean? So.
And when's your master start?
End of September.
What are you going to do till then? So you just got a month then?
I know, just a month of playtime. I mean, I'm in another podcast, which is cool. I've got a couple of clients. I'm in a music video.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
What are you doing in the music video? Is it sexy or is it like
It's
fun?
quite sexy. I'm a hot mechanic.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I know.
Do you come out from like under a car and be like?
Pretty much wearing like a wife beater and a...
Amazing.
I mean, I'm this type of person that's like, why not? You know, I get asked for it, why not?
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in doing different things, you know, it's about jumping into different things and, you know, doing opportunities that like, you know, you believe that you may never do again, you know.
Well, have you encountered that? I mean, is it different in Asia, fit women? Because I mean, one of the things I noticed being here is like in Asia I'm a big guy. Over here it's like if I step into like fitness industry, they're like, dude, you've got a long way to go. I mean like, you know, because I think it's just so much bigger here and we have so many more pro athletes.
Yes.
You know, you look at pro rugby players at 19, they're massive.
Yeah.
You know, they make me look tiny.
Yeah.
And but I mean, what about like beauty standards in fitness? You know, it's different.
It's massive here because actually they really do promote a lot more of all sizes.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like bloggers out there that actually aren't like tiny, that have beautiful bodies but aren't, you know.
Do you think that was a problem in Asia?
Yeah.
It was like sort of one size fits all.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's unrealistic because sometimes, you know, you can't get that goal.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I do love the bloggers out there, the women especially, that promote like, you know, being happy in your own skin. A lot of women do that, you know. There's a girl that promotes it called Ciara Landon on Instagram. She has an amazing body, you know. And I don't actually follow her because I don't really follow that many like celebrities or whatever. But she's very like, you know, if you get a chance, like look at her body. It's like she's not stick thin, but she's like, happy in her own skin, you know. And that's realistic, you know. It's amazing, you know. But she does work on it, you know. She has amazing kind of like physique, but it's not like that. You know?
Because I feel there's a lot of Asian girls especially that actually would suit a more powerful thing, maybe it's like bodybuilding or maybe it's, you know, weightlifting or whatever, and you know, maybe running really isn't their thing, but they just don't tick that sort of skinny small image box, and then so they're not happy about it.
Yeah.
And guys too, you know, guys that struggle to put on muscle, it can really get them down.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I feel like it is about being happy in your own skin, and learning that, you know, comparing yourself to others you're never gonna win because you're not that person. So why try to be that person? You know, it's about finding your own niche and finding what you like and what you kind of feel like makes you happy within your own skin. Like I said, like I went from modelling size 8, I was so skinny, like maybe borderline anorexic at one point. Then I went to like getting shredded and I wasn't happy then. And now I'm like at a weight where I feel like I'm happy and I go up and down now and then, but I'm not, you know, I'm not fat, you know. And I train not because to look good, I train because I enjoy it. You know, and that's where I am at the moment.
And then you can go to the cinema, you can have some popcorn and not feel guilty.
Exactly, because I know that I'm going to burn it off. You know, it's true. I mean, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but
no, but it's about balance.
It's about balance, 100%. You know, whereas before I'd like literally starve myself and I wouldn't eat the things that I want to eat. And going on a date with a guy and saying that you can't eat that, it's, you know, it's not.
Honestly, like
sugar I don't eat. I try and stay away.
It's nice to be with a fit girl, but I mean it's horrible to go on a date and you can't feed the girl.
No, I know,
right?
And that's why a lot of guys like me because I eat, you know. But I eat to train, and I train. You know, I know that if I eat too much, I just train it off. You know, and the good thing for me is a lot of my training is cardio based, so I know that I'm going to burn it off.
But see, it's a mix because there is a big part of me that would just live off pizza and Ben and Jerry's, but that's probably the addict side of me rather than anything else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Alright, well, I think we're gonna...
Yeah, we're gonna go. Anyway, thanks very much.
Anytime.
And hopefully next time we get you back, we'll you'll have started your masters and we can hear all about that.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to study it. Yeah.
Alright, cheers.
Cheers.